After learning everything that I actually put in this video last year, my agency went from 8 grand in 1 month to 35K the next month. That's going to be a mix of my sales process and sales frameworks that I'm giving 100% away in this video. First part is the sales process. You need to know how to nurture a lead to actually get to a demo, but the majority of the video, it's about an hour long with the person who actually taught me sales. I got him to jump on and do a video for you guys explaining the 10-step framework that I actually use in my agency today, train my closers on, everything like that. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Everything starts from when you get leads through the door, right? So there's two different really versions of that. It can just be a new lead that comes through, whether it's a positive response from an email or a DM, or maybe you're running lead ads on Facebook, maybe a cold call, something like that. Or you're running ads for your agency, and these are people who are booking in onto your calendar already. In either of these two scenarios, as soon as a lead comes through, talking within 30 seconds if possible, call them. If they don't pick up on the first dial, call them again, double dial them, get through that do not disturb, and get on the phone with them. When you call, there's two things that can happen. They can either answer or not answer. If they don't answer, call them back 3 times a day for the next week. That should lead them to answer if they don't already right off the bat. Most people will if you call them as quick as you should be. And the goal of that call is to actually get on an intro call. If they answer but they don't have time, just schedule an intro call for another time. But I know a lot of you guys don't quite know what an intro call is, so I have that written out right here for you. An intro call is essentially like a quick call that happens before the main sales call. And the goal of this call is to make sure that the sales call goes really, really smoothly. One, to make sure that you can actually help this person, that you're not going to get on the demo and just sell someone who you aren't going to be able to help. Don't really want to do that. Two, make sure that they're actually going to be able to pay, like limit objections, things of that nature. And three, kind of make sure the rest of the process after this really falls into place the way we want it to. So a little bit more about the call. It's anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. As long as you get through everything, there's no specific time, but it's fairly quick. And the goal is to get the surface level information that's going to help you sell the prospect later on for the actual demo call, the sales call, and inform them slightly on what you do, just giving them enough curiosity to want to show up to that second call. From there, you just kind of set the frame. So you tell them who you are, how the call is supposed to go, and then you get into your questions. Really, you're just trying to make sure that they're financially qualified, that you can actually help them, and then ask anything that's going to allow you to prevent objections. For example, when you're on this call and you're trying to book a demo, that's the goal of the call. The goal of an intro call is to book a demo, if they're qualified. You want to get the partner on the demo. So you need to do that here, make sure that they're going to show up then. When they're looking to actually buy, it's going to be a really big factor, because if they get on a demo, even if it's the partners and everyone's supposed to be there, it's like, oh yeah, we're looking to do this next year. This is perfect for what we want. It's great that they like it and it can help them, but if they can't buy it right there, why did you waste your time? Right? So it's just kind of helping a lot like that. And also telling them enough about what you do so that they're interested and they feel like they got value out of the call, but not enough to where they're curious and they want to know more, which makes them actually show up for a demo. After you go through all of that, go ahead and have them watch a video that you're going to send over. And that pre-call video, we'll get into it later, is going to help a lot of things in the actual sales call. So from this intro call, from an answered prospect, from a lead, it can either be unqualified or qualified. If they are unqualified, just take them out of the pipeline. There's no point to keep calling them, especially if they're like too broke or whatever it is that you don't really need to work with them. However, if you do book a demo with them and they were qualified, now it's time to get the process working. So you should, in high level, have all of your automations ready to send out with your texts, your emails, your workflows, everything already in place. If you need help with that, again, DM me. And auto reminders will be sent out, including the pre-call video. The pre-call video is something that is going to help you prevent so many objections, because if people come through and they've already seen maybe some testimonials, what you've done for other people, how you prevent common things that don't really go well in their industry, and really kind of just showing that you're an authority. Maybe you've been in their shoes, maybe you've done some things that they really, really respect. Having them watch that is going to feel somewhat like they know you, make you feel like more of an authority beforehand, and have the demo call go a lot smoother. So at this point, a lead's come through, they've answered, you've booked an intro with them, you've taken that intro call, they were qualified, so you booked a demo, you scheduled the demo on that call, auto reminders are starting to go out now, they've watched the pre-call video, and now it's the morning of the actual sales call. Call them. Call them over the phone. So let's say the demo's at noon or 11 a.m. or whatever it is. As soon as you get off your morning calls or whatever you got going on around like 8 a.m.-ish, 8:30, 9, whenever your workday starts, go ahead and call that prospect, as long as it's like a good time in their time zone, to confirm that they will be available at the given time that we had decided upon earlier. If they say they can't make it, just book them for a different time. That's it. At that point, the demo will either show up or not show up. If they do not show up, text them 2 minutes in. It's like, hey, prospect name, I'm on the call right now. Let me know if you need me to send the link again. It's in your inbox. Obviously, a slightly more polite version of that. And that really allows them to be really not blame anything on them. It just gives them an easy, it's like, oh yeah, I didn't get the link. That's why I joined, when really they forgot. So they click on the link and they join right away. Maybe they ask you to send them another one. That works a lot of the time. But if that doesn't work though, and they don't respond, just give them a call a few minutes later and say like, hey man, I'm on the call right now, ready to get this going. The team prepared XYZ for you, whatever you want to say to like make it seem like it's better. Do that. And then they should join. If they don't, reschedule. And if they don't, and it's a no-show, just add to the follow-up list, book a demo again, reminders, and then we get back down to here where the demo is shown. If there's a shown demo, that's great. We get into the sales process now that we will walk you through the entire thing in the upcoming next section of this video. But the first thing before we get into any of that stuff is getting their camera on. For a lot of the prospects in SMMA, this is a big deal. They don't really like doing it. It makes them feel like uncomfortable, like they're being sold. And sometimes they'll be talking, but they'll like kind of like their body language is like nervous. And you'd be like, what's going on, man? And then they can kind of tell you. Because there's a lot more that's being said with like their body and how they're acting and how they're paying attention and if they're actually listening than sometimes their words. So getting their cameras on, really important. How we do that is not by just directly asking them. It's like, hey man, can you turn your camera on, please? It's like, I prefer it to be that way so I can tell you better. Obviously, no one's going to do that. What you do is you jump on the call and you're like, hey man, can you hear me? It's like, yep. It's like, all right, good to go. It's like, oh, actually, looks like I can't see you. I can hear you though. It's probably just a camera issue on my end. And then like act like you're clicking around trying to fix it. It's like, oh, actually it might be on yours. Go ahead and try this real quick. And you just ask them to start their video over Zoom and it should do it. At that point though, their camera's on, you're ready to take the demo with them. And there's two things that can happen, right? Close, not close, and potentially a follow-up. But if you're good, you don't get follow-ups. What's going to happen? You go through the demo, which we're going to show you how to do that in the like next few seconds here. And you're going to close, get the money, have them pay on the call. And then you're going to watch your call recording back of the call. Use Fathom Note Taker if you need help with that. Again, DM me. To record your calls, watch the call back, and edit the framework that we're going to give you right now. And then apply that to your next demo. And then no, close, close, whatever. What could I do better? What could I improve? And then this circle, it just keeps getting better and better. Hold on, let me make it smaller. Like this circle right here just keeps getting better and better and better. Even if a lot of your first demos are no closes, you can make improvements by reviewing your calls and doing this. You're going to have to do this a lot in the beginning. And then even as you progress, this isn't something that stops. Like even to this day, I still go through my framework. I still review things. I still make changes as needed to further optimize and dial in my sales as they need to be dialed in. That's pretty much it as far as like the whole sales process goes. From a lead to giving them a call immediately to taking that intro call, booking the demo, having those reminders go out, they watch the video, confirming the call, getting their camera on, and actually selling them. So with that being said, we're now at the point where we need to sell them. How do you actually do that? How do you take a proper demo? This is the framework that I personally use. I'll go ahead and play that now. And if you need help implementing this or doing any type of agency stuff and you're looking for kind of a fast track there, either DM me on Instagram or go to the link below and I'll be able to help you out. Let's get into it.
When it comes to a framework, I wanted to create something that was simple, easy to follow, and worked 80% of time on 80% of calls, whether it was an intro call, a demo call, or a follow-up call. Every single sales conversation, I wanted to find out, what do they all have in common, and what is a common thread or framework that I can create that will work most of the time for most people? And so that's how the 10-step framework was born. I wanted it to be simple, and I wanted it to be able to stretch across a myriad of situations. And so what you're going to learn here today is something that you can implement immediately on your next sales call, whether it is, again, a phone call, intro call, or if you call up an old lead in your pipeline, you bring them on the phone, you can use the same framework. Or, of course, for any of your demo calls, this framework is pretty much the key to success. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. First step of the process is connection. Connection. How many of you guys have gotten, oh, I need to do my research, or, oh, how will I know it'll work, or can I speak to one of your clients? Raise your hand if you've gotten that objection at the end of your sales call before. Okay, cool. So a good chunk of you, I've gotten them before, but apparently Paul over here has never gotten that objection. Let's go, Paul. But with that being said, what if I told you that those objections 9 times out of 10 started in your first 30 seconds of the call? So what we're going to do here in the first 30 seconds is prevent those objections, and we're just literally just going to cut it in half, right? So in your first 30 to 45 seconds of the call, what you want to do is you want to create a human connection between you and the person you're speaking to. And so the goal here is not to make small talk for the sake of making small talk. It is to show that you are a human, right? You want people to see you as a human, not as a salesperson, not as a company, but as a human being who has a sense of humor. And so again, whether you're on an intro call or a demo call, whatever it is, the first 30 to 45 seconds, you're breaking the ice. You want to introduce, who they are, introduce who you are, just make a quick human connection between the two of you. I typically like to ask a question. And yes, it's small talky, but the key here is if you do it in a salesy, inauthentic manner, they're going to detect that. When I ask a question, small talk related, I genuinely want to know the answer. So if I ask, hey, how's the weather out there right now? I genuinely give a shit, right? The reason why you're asking how the weather is and people aren't picking up on it is because you don't give a shit, right? You're just asking it to ask it because you don't know what else to do. So the first step is actually giving a shit. And then just asking a simple question about what's going on in their life. Hey, I'm just curious, where are you calling from? Oh, you're out in Canada. Dude, it's probably freezing right now, man. Or, oh, in Utah, you're probably boiling right now, aren't you? Whatever it is that you want to do, right? But you want to be human with the person. Crack a joke, whatever you want to do. There's a few key things that we want to make sure we implement in this first 30 to 45 seconds. And doing this one thing is the thing that's going to prevent your trust objection. So get ready. 1, you don't want there to be any space, any awkward pauses in that first 45 seconds. There is nothing wrong with awkward pauses. In fact, awkward pauses are often what I use to close deals. However, in the first 45 seconds, you're trying to communicate that you're on top of it, that you're quick-witted, you're smart, you know what you're doing. And so anytime they're done talking, you're on it. You're already starting to talk, right? And if you stop talking and they don't respond, you keep talking. So I know this sounds contrary to probably what you've heard from every other sales trainer, but when I give that one piece of advice, the people that I gave it to, they went from having trust objections on 95% of their calls to none. Solely because in the first few seconds, there was no space. That they communicated as if they knew what they were talking about. They were quick-witted. They were, quick on their feet. Is this making sense, you guys? Nod if yes, shake your head if you've never, understood any of the words I've said. Cool. No shaking. Fantastic. Another thing is you just want to greet with a nice warm smile. Again, seems super simple, but if you're on a demo call, they could see your face and you look like you just killed a man, right? Not necessarily a great start to the call. If you want them to open up, if you want them to feel comfortable around you, be a comfortable presence. I literally just closed a deal. My last 4 calls, I got piffs on all of them, right? I just closed one like 2 hours ago, $7,000 paid in full. You know what I did in the first few seconds? It's like, hey, Andy, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Simple as that. Did I get a trust objection at the end? Absolutely not. So again, be a warm, welcoming presence, and they will feel warm and welcoming. Any questions on connection? I know it's super simple, but I just want to communicate the importance of step 1 of this framework, because if you don't do that right and you leave awkward pauses and you don't smile, people will not trust you. They'll ask for the price. They'll be like, just get to the point. I don't want to answer these questions. Why are you asking me questions? They just want to get done with the whole call. That's why this
Well,
first 45 seconds is so important. What you guys got? Any questions on this?
I have a question.
Go for it.
So you said keep smiling, but wouldn't that look like an average salesperson? How is the weather going on? Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't
Do you give 2 shits about the answer they give you?
I mean, I do. That's the reason why we are asking.
Fantastic. Do you think most salespeople give 2 shits, or are they just focusing on getting a sale?
I don't know about that. I don't have data on that.
Okay. Well, I can go ahead and tell you right now, based on the industry, most people are just focused on getting money. So most people don't
Right.
care. You automatically differentiate yourself in your energy because you do care. Now, I'm not saying you want to be up here in terms of energy. You want to be neutral, right? But you want to be warm, welcoming, inviting. So it's not, I don't know your name. I need new info. It's not, hi, I need new info. How are you, man? Oh, dude, it's so good. How's the weather out there? Like, you're not selling, like freaking toothpaste on an infomercial. What you're doing instead is you're being friendly. Hey, I need new info. How are you, brother? Ah, dude,
Doing
great to
great.
hear that, man. And we just go through, right?
All right, bro.
There's a difference between friendly and like high on cocaine. Make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
Cool. Any other questions on this first 30 seconds?
Yeah, I had a question for the
Go for it.
this part. What is the body language looking like?
Relaxed, detached, right? Whenever I do it, I typically lean back. I'll start the call like this. I'll lean back, right? As far as my chair can go. Actually, the front wheel of my chair is actually dipping back a little bit, right? Sometimes, how's it going, man? Super relaxed, right? I'm leading with the energy I want them to reciprocate with. Make sense? Cool. On your triage calls, it's literally very similar. It's like, hey, is this Johnny? Hey, Johnny, this is Aaron from, Muscula. How are you, man? Cool, cool. Well, hey, I saw that you had just filled out our ad like 30 seconds ago. I was just wondering if I'm reaching the right Johnny. You are a realtor, correct? Okay, solid. Well, hey, I got a couple minutes now. You free to just go ahead and run through the details now? Fantastic. Again, super chill, relaxed. Moving on. Now, with that being said, we do have 9 more steps to go through, so I'm going to take this as the last question. Amir, what you got?
Yeah, so what about the prospects that, at the first 30 seconds, something weird happens? Like, for example, I had a call yesterday, the guy started like screaming about the reminders, or in another way, like someone who just joins on the call before answering, how are you doing, or anything like that. He started like saying that, okay, man, go ahead, tell me, what's the price? Is it a paper close? Is it like that? What do you do about those kind of prospects to like get them from the point that they are too salty to a point that now you have the chance to actually talk to them?
Yeah, so 2 things. One, I go over this a lot more. If you want deeper mentorship with me, then Levi can connect us. And like, I go through like how to prevent that from ever happening. It's actually an energy thing. But that's a whole separate story that we don't have time to go into here, but that will prevent it from ever happening. Secondly, you want to like right out the gate, you're on top of it. There is no, like, no, not even an awkward pause before you start talking, right? So it's like, as soon as the camera, here, let's do a role play right now. Amir, flip that camera off. All right, go ahead and flip it back on. Hey, Amir, how are you, brother?
I see. So you don't give them a chance to be awkward. You
No,
start talking
absolutely no. I'm
from the
right
first point.
in.
I see.
Right, we're starting. Right, I'm leading this call. It would be really weird for you then to be like, "Hey, Aaron, forget all the pleasantries. Just tell me the price." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Don't shoot the messenger, jeez, dude. Like, what stick is up your butt?" Right? People aren't going to do that. But when you start off the call right off the bat, you're leading the way. They have no room to fight back. Make sense? Cool, solid. Let's move on to step 2. Step 2 is the frame. Now, a lot of sales trainers say that you don't need to set an explicit frame. And while that's technically true, what they're doing is they're still setting a frame implicitly with their body language, the way that they carry themselves, the way that they speak, things like that. They're setting an agenda for the rest of the call. They're establishing who's the one leading the call. That's what the purpose of the frame is. You're setting the agenda for what the rest of the call is. And because you now provide the prospect with full clarity on what they can expect for the next either 10 minutes, 50 minutes, or however long, they will now trust to follow your lead, right? So you establish yourself as the leader without doing it in a hoorah, I'm going to lead this call. Instead, you're saying, hey, so just real quick rundown here. I've already taken a look at the notes from our last conversation, and I wanted to dive deeper on a few things. The way that we operate is really custom to the agent that we're partnering with, so it's not like a one-size-fits-all sales pitch. So if you're okay with it, what I'd love to do here is just get a better understanding of what's going on in your business that has us talking. And then, like, if I feel there's something we can do to help, I'd be happy to walk you through what that looks like. If not, like, I'll refer you in a different direction. Is that cool? Is it okay if I ask you some questions? And just like that, you're asking them to buy in and say, yes, that's okay. Now, once they buy into your frame, they just gave you permission to ask them questions, to lead the call. And what's going to happen? You're not going to get people going, hey, just tell me the price. Hey, let's cut to the chase. Hey, why am I answering your questions? Why? Because they just gave you permission to lead the call. They handed you the reins, right? And the way I just laid through it right there, again, is pretty much the same way you want to run through it yourself. Relaxed, yet confident and firm. Right now, my feet are literally kicked up on my desk. I could not be more confident, right? And relaxed. Is this making sense? Cool. The frame is super simple and super short. 2 sentences max, maybe 3. But you don't want it to be long and drawn out. It's not 3 minutes long. It's a few sentences. You're walking them through what they can expect and how this call is going to play out. People want to be led. Lead them. Capiche? Understanding? Comprendo? That's not the right word. Cool, solid. So that right there, the first 2 steps makes up the introduction phase of the 10-step framework. There are 4 major phases. All right. The second major phase of the 10-step framework is the discovery phase. And ironically, the 3rd step is called discovery. Now, raise your hand if you're familiar with the concept of discovery. Okay, some of you are not. So real quickly, discovery is where you ask the prospect questions to better understand their situation, as well as to change their mindset. The purpose of discovery is not to gather ammo. It is not to gather information. The purpose of discovery is to change their mindset. Something tells me that there isn't a single soul on this call that has just cracked the code on SMMA marketing, where every single lead you get is just holding a giant bag of cash saying, here, please take my money. And all you are is a glorified order taker. Does anybody crack the code on marketing to that degree? Please tell me your secrets, right? No, when they come into the call, they're maybe a little skeptical. They're unsure. They're kind of information gathering. They know they have a problem, but they don't really know what they need to do to solve that problem. And here in the discovery, this is where the sale happens. You're changing their belief, not convincing them to buy a product. I'm going to say that again. You're shifting their mindset. You're not convincing them to buy your service. So what this looks like is it breaks down into 4 steps. And you do this right, people will ask to buy from you. You won't have to ask them to buy from you. Right? There are 4 steps to discovery, little sub-steps. First is hell. Second is bridges. Third is heaven. Fourth is fuel. And it's in that order for a reason. Now, unfortunately, I don't have time to go deep into the reason why it's in that order, but just trust me when I say the order is important. First thing you want to do on the discovery is you want to identify what is the problem that you're here to solve. What is the problem that they are facing in their business that got them to click on the ad or respond to the cold text messages or, book a call with you after your cold call or your cold email? What's the reason they want help? What's the problem? That's their current situation. That's what they're currently going through. And that feels like hell. That's why I call it hell. Right? Now, not only do we want to identify the problem, but once we've identified the problem, we also want to get clarity around why that problem is occurring and the impact that problem is having on their business. Now, raise your hand if you are not an SMMA owner. All right, maybe one person. Everyone here is running an SMMA, which means you are selling to business owners. Now, if you ask a business owner, how does that make you feel? Can anybody tell me from experience, just unmute yourself, how well do business owners react to that question? All right, I see a message here from Kirkland. F off. Right? That's exactly how they respond when you ask, well, hey, you're saying that leads are slow. I'm just curious, how does that make you feel? It makes me want to vomit when I hear that in a sales call. Right? Instead, what we want to do is we want to circle it around to what kind of impact is that having in your business? How much money is this problem costing you? How much money are you losing? Now that inherently holds emotional weight to it. And you don't even have to ask them, how do you feel about that? Because if you ask them, hey, I'm just curious, man, like if this problem's been going on for 6 months now that you haven't gotten any leads, I mean, shoot, how much money do you think that's cost you? Oh, dude, probably like $600,000 in revenue. 600,000, dude, that's over $500,000. What could you have done with that $500,000? Dude, I could have freaking taken my kids on vacation. Oh, dude, that's super tough, man. Sounds like it's a pretty significant issue. Yeah, definitely is. Not once did I ask them, how does that make you feel? So that's hell, all right? It's their current situation. The purpose of hell is to get them to experience why they don't like their situation. Real quick, in hell, they may open up when you ask your first question of like, hey, how can I help? What's going on that you don't like in your business that you need help with? They may respond with a desire, right? They may say, oh, I want more leads. When you say I want, what are you also inherently saying? Someone just unmute and say it.
I don't have.
I don't have. So if you only reap what you sow in this world and you keep putting out I want, what do you get back?
Nothing.
Nothing. You get back nothing, right? And so when they say I want more leads, what are they also inherently saying? I don't have the amount of leads I want. So all you need to do is flip that desire on its head and identify the feeling of lack that they have behind the desire itself. That's hell. Now, real quickly, I'm going to move on because I'm rambling. Bridges. Bridges are all the things that they have tried to solve that problem. Now, many sales trainers skip over this part, but I have found in my sales calls that if I leave anything to chance, I will have to deal with it as an objection at the end of the call. How many of you guys, just raise your hand, have gotten, oh, let me try it myself, or oh, this other company does it cheaper, or yeah, let's do this. Raise your hand if you've gotten, I want to try it on my own. All right, keep your hands raised. Now raise your hand if you've gotten, this other company does it for cheaper. All right, now keep your hands raised. Raise your hand if you've gotten, oh, I've tried Facebook ads and it didn't work. All right, keep your hands raised. Now, if you've gotten the, I don't believe that this would work in my market. Raise your hand. So pretty much every single person here, except for Ty. Ty just never gets objections, right? And so all of these objections come from bridges. And I found rather than having to deal with the objection at the end of the call, I would much rather just ask them questions at the beginning when there is no sales pressure because I haven't made an offer and prevent it from coming up in the first place. So super simple. I ask them, what are all the things you've tried? And why haven't they worked? And then they tell me the things they tried, why they haven't worked. I was like, great, what else? Great, what else? Great, anything else? And I'm going to get every single thing. So if they've tried Facebook ads and the Facebook ads didn't work, then we can identify why didn't the Facebook ads work? Well, did it work because, you know, Mark Zuckerberg is just terrible at advertising? He runs the #1 most profitable advertising platform in the world. He's just terrible at advertising. Or is it probably because, you know, marketing companies don't know how to run ads? Oh, got it. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on to the next thing, right? What else have you tried that didn't work? Right? And I'm going to get all that stuff out of the way. Then here's the key part. I've never heard anyone mention this before, and I'm the only one who's mentioned it, and yet it works really well on my sales calls. So take it, pull it. What are you thinking of trying if we don't move forward here? What's your alternative? If we don't sign up today because it's not the right fit, what are you going to try? What's your next step? And I want to identify all their current alternatives. And then here's the kicker, because I want to burn that bridge. I ask, what's the reason you haven't been doing that up to this point? If they had full confidence that that was exactly what they needed to do to solve their problem and it was going to work, they would have already done it. The human mind works according to what it believes is best for it. Even if that's eating junk food, it's because it believes it's going to accomplish a greater goal than being, say, fit and healthy, right? And so our minds will always choose the thing that we think will work the most to get us to our goal, every time. So if they have another option in front of them and they haven't done that thing, it's because deep down they don't believe it'll work. So find out what that thing is. Oh, you're thinking if this doesn't work out, you'll cold call. Well, what's the reason you haven't been cold calling up to this point? Oh, because you think it's just a waste of time. You're going to spend 8 hours a day and you're going to get 1 lead from it. Yeah, dude, completely understand why that's so frustrating. Taking note of that. And if they hit me, they won't hit you with that objection to the end of the call. But let's say they do. You just say, well, hey, you just said that you'd only get 1 lead from 8 hours of work per day. So what's changed? Does it make sense? Cool. That's bridges. All right. After bridges, we got heaven. We've got heaven. All right. Heaven is where they want to be. Right? It's their dream state. It's their goal. What you want to do in heaven is you want to identify what their goal is, get a specific number, how many deals a month, how much revenue per month, how much commission per month, right? A specific place they want to be. Put a point on it so that we can now create a gap between where they're at and where they want to be, as well as why that's their goal. Oh, you want to have this many people in your business by this time. Why? What's the reason for that number? Here's a word track I love using. Sounds like you've thought of that number before. Just curious. Why that number? And they're going to give you all their reasons. Go deeper. Go deeper. Go deep to the point where you can see them imagining themselves in their ideal scenario, in their ideal situation, with their ideal business and their ideal life. When you can see their eyes light up and the weight come off their shoulders and a smile come on their face. Get them to that place. Here's the key phrase. Tits. Toes in the sand. Right? You want their toes to be in the sands of the beach of Fiji. You want them to experience what it's like to be at that place. Making sense so far? Cool. So we started off our discovery by identifying a problem, going into the pain of why it hurts. And then we talked about all the reasons why they haven't been able to solve that problem. Now we've gotten to this place of desperation and hopelessness. Like, man, nothing could possibly help me. And now we're giving them a sense of relief. Okay, let's take the pressure off. Where would you like to be? Now we go up to the top. It's laughing, it's smiling, it's giggling. All you are having a great conversation. It's fantastic, right? And then what are we going to do? We're going to bring them back down to reality and fuel. What's the reason that this is something that you feel like you need to solve now as opposed to later? Now, I started adding the fuel question in because I was sick and tired of people telling me I need to think about it. Right? Everyone here has been hit with the I need to think about it objection. Raise your hand if you haven't been hit with that objection. Oh, Paul's like, well, I haven't. I got you. Trick question. Yeah, everyone's been hit with that objection, right? Well, I was just so sick of it. I was like, well, let's prevent the objection to the discovery. So I just started asking people, what's the reason that you feel this is a problem you need to solve now as opposed to kicking the can down the road? It's a fair question. Now they're going to tell you the reason why they don't want to kick the can down the road. They're going to tell you why they need to move forward today. So again, you're not going to get the I need to think about it, or I need to sleep on it, or maybe next week, or maybe next month. Reach out to me at the beginning of the year. All that stuff goes away. And if you do get hit with it, all you say is, hey, you said just 5 minutes ago that this is something you believed you needed to do right now so that you can send your kids to private school next month. I guess my question is like, what was your plan to pay for their tuition? Now that you want to put this off. You're identifying the reason that they feel they need to move now. Make sense? Cool. I'll take 3 questions on the discovery. Whoever raises their hand first gets it. All right, go for it, Lucas.
All right. So for the discovery, in the framework, you also mentioned cost of problem and label. So, like, where do those fit in?
Yeah, label's the next step. You're getting ahead of yourself, buddy.
Sorry. Okay, and then cost of problem is going to be where?
Yeah, cost of problem is either in hell or fuel, depending on how it plays out. I've done it in both places, but the most logical place to put it is in hell. But the reason why I do cost of, and by the way, this is stuff I teach inside of my coaching program. So like, if you want more information about this, again, just reach out to Levi and Levi can connect us if Levi thinks that you'd be a good fit. Aside from all that though, cost of problem fits really well in discovery in hell in the discovery, just because like it's the most logical thing. It's the problem and the pain and the impact of it. However, I just really like someone telling me, man, I'm actively burning $30,000 a month by not getting my lead stuff fixed.
Yep.
And then pitching them. I just love that order. But depending on how you play it out, if you really stoke the flame of that cost of their problem, when you ask them their fuel question, they'll probably just refer back to it anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, I can bring it up in hell and then just bring it back up later on.
yeah, 100%. It's even more powerful if you get them to bring it back up.
Okay.
Cool. Right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Joao, what you got?
So my question is, Aaron, how do you burn bridges that are actually working and they actually like it? They're just looking at paid ads, let's say, to complement what they're doing or to just kind of expand.
Yeah. So the problem is not that the thing isn't working. Hello, Kitty. The problem is not that the thing isn't working. The problem is that it is not working to the degree that they want it to. So that bridge gets burnt by saying, well, why haven't you just doubled down on that? Oh, well, I can't. Oh, so it works just well enough for you to get the quantity of leads you have. But in order for you to hit your, you want to be able to double your business. In order for you to really scale or whatever it is, you would need another lead source. Got it. Bridge burn. And so that's actually very common in real estate because they're like, yeah, my sphere of influence, word of mouth, referrals is great. Problem is I can't scale it up. Ah, got it. That's the issue. Does that make sense?
Sometimes it's kind of like a double-edged sword for me though, because when I say that, why don't you just double down on that? Then they actually You know what? You're right. I should just double down on that. And then that actually
The
happens.
only
in real
reason they
work.
say that, is because your connection sucks. I
Okay.
promise. I promise. They say that because they identify you as a salesperson. Because if you guys are having an open, truly open and honest conversation, then like if you identify another route that's actually more optimal for them, don't pitch them. That's not the ethical thing to do. Right? Don't sell them. Say, dude, go do your thing. Why are you here? Go take action. Grow your business. Don't buy my product. I'm not a good fit for you right now. Right? But also recognize that they clicked on your ad because they believe they need help. They clicked on your ad because deep down, they're not happy with their current process. They have doubt about whether or not it'd get them to their goal. Again, this is why step one is so important. If you nail step one, people are way more open with you and they don't say, oh, yeah, I guess I could do that. Because I used to get that. And when I got that, it's because we weren't having an open, trusting conversation. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm sorry, Kevin. I would love to answer your question, Kevin, but I do only have time to run through 3. If we wrap up this early and we have time here at the end, I will circle back around to you. Raise your hand. I would love to get your question answered. Amir, what you got?
Yeah, my question is actually pretty small, but what I want to know is that when we were talking about the alternatives that they have, sometimes I face situations that, everything has been perfect. Now they are looking to expand. Okay. So up until now, they never thought about those alternatives. Now they're thinking about adding something. So in their mind is me, there is door knocking, there is other stuff. So at this point, like, it's not like they haven't, like, they don't believe that it works. Is that now they're thinking about trying them. Is there any way to burn those bridges, or is it just a matter of me trying to say that mine is better than those? Like, does it
Absolutely
come
not. You definitely
to the
don't want to do
pitch
that.
now?
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. What you
Is
want
it
to
something
do?
that I need to fix in the discovery, or does it go to the pitch? That's what I want to understand.
No, you do not move on to the pitch until you're confident they're going to buy. So everything gets handled in discovery. Everything.
Yeah.
You do not save objections. Anything you tolerate, you will have to deal with. Right? So if you
How do I deal with this?
Yeah, I'll walk you through that. So
Yeah.
if they have other options, it's because they have other options and yet they still clicked on your ad. If they had full wholehearted confidence those other options would work, they wouldn't have clicked on your ad. They would have just done it. In the same vein, if they had full wholehearted confidence by that point in the conversation with you that your agency was going to help them, they wouldn't be doing door knocking. They wouldn't be considering anything else. They would have just hopped on the call and say, hey, here's my money. The only reason you're going through a sales process is because they're not confident that your solution will help them. That's obviously why you're there. So they have a reason why they haven't just pulled the trigger on it. So I just straight up explained that to them. It's like, look, like if you didn't pull the trigger, it's because there's a part of you that maybe has a little bit of doubt about whether or not it's going to work. I'm just curious what that is. Help me understand. What are the pros and cons of those other avenues you have? Tell me the reasons why it could work and the reasons why it could fail. I just want to understand what that doubt is. That doubt is the spark that will burn the bridge down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. All right, going to continue barreling through here. I'm going to take a quick water break while I'm sipping this water. I'm going to get 3 more cameras on because I'm talking to just a lot of gray boxes. John, Christopher, Paul, Colton, George, Benny, Brian, Aiden, Kevin, Vincent, Ron, all y'all folks. Let's get at least 3 more cameras on while I'm sipping this water. John is a king. John's over here in the gym getting swole. Paul, good to see your face again, my man. Yo, John, get that camera back on, bro. One more camera. Let's go. There we go. What's up, Colton? Good to see you, man. Let's go ahead and dive in. Oh, man, Brian too? Let's go. I'm feeling lucky today. All right, label. That's the next step in the process. Step 4. Label is where you summarize everything that they told you back to them. You tell their story back to them. When you do label well, what you're going to hear is, man, I couldn't have said that better myself. Oh, dude, you hit the nail on the head. You understand my situation perfectly. People who feel understood buy from you. People only buy from those that they believe better understand their problem than they do. Think about that. They only buy from people that they think better understand their problem than they themselves do. So what we do here in label is we communicate that understanding. All right. Here's a simple framework you can follow for label. Okay, so you're currently here and you want to get here, but what's preventing you from getting there are these bottlenecks and these problems. So gap, problem. And you've tried to solve it through X, Y, Z, but those haven't worked because of A, B, C. So you're just looking for a solution that can do 1, 2, 3, and that's going to solve your problem so that you can achieve your goal. So that you can actually meet that need that you told me you had in the fuel stage. Right? So you're just telling their story back to them in a manner that makes them buying your product the no-brainer solution. It's like the only thing you need is a company that can provide you a consistent flow of qualified listing leads. Only thing you need is a company that vets your leads. If they had someone on the phone who just talked to the leads, that would be the exact thing you need in order to hit 50K a month in your business. If you just had, 5 leads a day, you'd finally be able to get your kids to Disney World. So they think that you're a good dad. Is that right? So I'm framing it around our solution. Make sense? Cool. Once they tell you, yes, that's right, you're amazing, you read my mind, wow, perfect, you're such a good listener. Then we move into pre-pitch, which is step 6 or 5. Starting to lose count. Pre-pitch. The pre-pitch is where you communicate certainty that you can help them. In the intro call, what you're selling is not the program, you're selling the next call. Right? So in the intro call, you're selling, hey, I really do think that there's some room for us to help you. I've heard these problems from realtors all the time. In the demo call, it's very similar, except the thing that you're ultimately selling is going to be the program. So that's what you lead to. It's, hey, based on what you're saying, I have no doubt that we can help you, man. As a matter of fact, it's perfectly in line with the hundreds of other realtors that we've served in the last few years. I hear this stuff every day. This is our bread and butter. Now, I have a whole process for like how to structure your pre-pitch and like the best framework for it, but unfortunately, we don't have time to get into that on this particular masterclass. But again, if you want more information, reach out to Levi. He can connect us if Levi thinks that you're a good fit. But all you're trying to do in the pre-pitch is communicate certainty. That's it. Hey, I believe that we can help you. Have any of you guys here before had like a major issue, maybe with your car, or maybe a health issue that was plaguing you for a long time and you just couldn't find the solution to it? And then finally, you found the solution. And when someone told you, dude, I really don't have any doubt that we can help you, man. Dude, I have full certainty that we can help you with that. Anybody who's experienced that before, real quickly, unmute yourselves. What did you feel in that moment?
Relief.
Hopeless.
Hopeless? Who said hopeless?
Oh, after you find it. Okay, sorry, I was before finding it. That was where my mind
Yeah.
was.
So like once they tell you, yeah, dude, you haven't been able to find a solution up to this point, you just found it. I can totally help you. What do you feel?
I feel hope. I feel relief.
Hope, relief. Amir, what do you feel? You still feel hopeless?
No, I'm fully good now.
Fully good.
I'm excited.
Excited, right? The prospects feel the same thing, that rush of positive energy, right? They feel the same thing when you say those words. Seems cliche, but every salesperson out there is trying to be fancy and hip and new, that they're forgetting to just say, yeah, dude, we can help you with that. And so they just rush into their pitch because they're trying to sell a service. Well, when I do sales calls, I want to frame it around, hey, I can solve your problem. Forget selling a service. I can fix your shit. Now that's what makes people feel good and want to buy. So now that they're on the edge of their seat, it was like, well, how will you do that? We move on to the next step, the pitch. Now the pitch is where you actually pitch your program. Again, I have a whole framework for how I do this pitch, and I'm going to give you a super, super quick rundown of it, but I can't go too in depth again for the sake of time. All right. But there's a key thing we want to understand about the pitch. Again, on the setting call, you're pitching the next conversation. On the demo call, you're pitching the program, right? So it's the same 10-step framework, right? In the pitch, you do not want to explain your services. Crazy. You do not want to convince them to buy from you. Instead, what you want to do is you want to very calmly and detached walk them through the next steps that they need to do to get to where they want to go. Like an expert, like a guide on a journey. This is step 1, this is step 2, and then there's step 3. So what you need to do is you need to take your service that you provide for your clients, you need to break it down into pillars or steps. The exact step-by-step process that a client has to walk through to get to their goal. That is how you pitch now. It's a simple explanation of this is what we're going to do first, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this. Then what they're going to feel is a lot of clarity. They're not trying to be, hold on to all the things of like, oh man, do you do this? And you do Facebook ads. How do you do the Facebook ads? All this like auxiliary stuff that doesn't matter, right? That 7K PIF I had earlier today. You know how long my pitch was with him? 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes. All I did was walk him through. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. That's it. Right? Now there's a simple framework you can use for each of those pillars. I'm going to just hit you with real quick. It's called the U frame. And it's because it's a U. You start up here. Remember when you said that you were facing X problem in your business? And it was causing you Y pain? This is what we need to do to fix it. And this is how it's different than everything you've tried before and everything else on the market. And this is why it works. This is what we need to do to fix it, how it's different, why it works. Key note, I'm not saying how it's better. It's not about being better. The iPhone 15 was better than the iPhone 14, technically speaking. The specs were better. You think anyone except the nerds cared about that? No. All they care about is different. When the iPhone 11 came out and it had the 3 cameras on, I was like, ooh, that's fancy. Let me buy it. You think I bought the iPhone 15? Absolutely not. Right? The dynamic island was such a hit with the iPhone. Why? Because it was different. The iPhone originally was a hit, not because it was better than the iPod, but because it was different than the iPod. Different beats better every time. So again, the key is this is what we need to do to fix it. This is how it's different than everything else, and this is why it works. And then we go back up to you so that you can achieve this goal that you said that you wanted, so that you can accomplish that ultimate dream that you said you had. Now everything's cohesive. You're aligning this step of your product into their specific problem and their specific goal. Now it's a no-brainer how it fits in and helps them get to where they want to be. Now you're not explaining a service. You're not pitching a program. You're showing them, you told me you had this problem. This is my custom solution for you. Way more valuable. Make sense? Cool. We all following? Head nod if yes. Do a monkey dance if no. All right, no monkeys in here. We're doing good so far, unless the monkeys are hiding with their cameras off. All right. Next up is temp check. Once we've pitched your program, we've gone through that with all of your different pillars, and you ask them, what do you think? And you're, making it a dialogue, all this basic stuff about the pitch. Your temp check is where you identify whether or not they actually want to buy your program. Notice I get them to make a decision on whether or not they're going to buy before I drop the price. Before I drop the price. All right. Your price will only muddy the decision-making process. So I do a temp check. Do you believe this is what you need? Yes or no? And be honest with me. Now, there are quite a few people in the agency space that are training other agency owners right now that I trained. And they're messing up something crucial about this step. So I want to get it clarified now by the guy who came up with this process. Me. Your goal is not to get them to a 10. Your goal is to get the freaking truth. Your goal is not to get them to be like, heck yeah! Your goal is just to find out the truth. It's to facilitate an optimal decision, even if that means not signing up with you. And once you detach yourself from having to get them to sign up with you, you'll notice that people are just way more open. And you're able to work through objections easier because they're telling you the truth. No smoke screens anymore. No more I need to sleep on it. No more I need to think on it. Why? Because you're not there for the money. You're there for helping them. So there's a very simple way to temp check. This is exactly how I do it word for word. Okay, cool. Well, that's basically the gist, man. So I guess just, shooting straight with me. Like, what do you think? Like scale of 1 to 10, 1 being Aaron, even if this thing were free, I'd still never do it because I hate your face. And 10 being, this is exactly what I need. I'm all in. Let's freaking go. We just need to talk about the logistics of how to get set up. Where do you feel like you're at? Notice how my 10 is intentionally very committal. It's very hard for someone to give me a 10, right? I will not tell someone the price until they have decided that they're going to buy, regardless of the price. Even if it's like, I'll refinance my home, I'll sell my car, I'll figure something out to afford it if I don't have the money. That's where I want to get them to, if I'm going to tell them the price, right? What I want to know right now is honestly where you're at. Is there anything holding you back? And let's say, for example, they say, oh, it's the price holding me back. I'll be like, well, cool. Like, well, aside from the investment, because honestly, like what's most important to me is alignment, right? Because if you don't believe that this can help you get to where you want to be, even $50 is a waste of money. Conversely, if you have wholehearted conviction this is going to get you to $50,000 a month, well, then I've had people refinance their homes for this. So honestly, on the process, how do you feel like you sit right now? All I'm going to do is whenever they tell me a number, I'm going to ask them, okay, why that number instead of the number below it? So let's say they give me a 7. Like, cool, 7's a good number. No emotional reaction, right? Cool, 7's a good number. What's the reason it's a 7 as opposed to a 6? What they're going to do is they're going to tell me all the reasons they like my service. They're going to sell themselves on why they should buy. Well, I guess it's a 7 as opposed to a 6 because I like this and I like that and this thing's great. And man, I've been looking for that for ages. Never heard a company say that before. I was going to sit there, let them keep blabbing about how much they love me, right? And then when they're done and they have said all the reasons why they should buy, so now it's like out there, they can't take it back. Now I'm going to say, cool. What's the reason it's a 7 as opposed to like an 8? Notice how I don't say 10. It's what many sales trainers out there miss up. It's not, how can I get you to 10? It's, what's the reason you're a 7 as opposed to an 8? Why'd you pick that number? Oh, because this was the issue. Ah, because I'm not sure about that part. Okay, cool. Got it. That's totally fair, man. And then we move into the next step. All right, the temp check is just to identify if there are potential objections. The next step of the process is the objection handling step. Now, I know what you're thinking. Aaron, please give me magic juice for how to handle objection handling. If you want another masterclass on how to handle objections, ask Levi, beg Levi to do another masterclass, and I'll see if I can squeeze it in. Otherwise, again, connect with Levi. He can connect you with me, and you can do mentorship with me, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm not going to go into objection handling right now. It's just way too complicated to go through. But if you do everything in the process very well, you'll get a lot more calls where they don't have a single objection at all. All right. Now I see multiple hands raised. I know a lot of people have questions, but I'm just going to rush through to the end here just because we're right on time. All right. Last step of the process, number 10. Now, real quickly, I'm going to circle back around on an intro call. You're doing the same shit. Temp check is, hey, do you feel like that call with me or with a closer is what you need? Do you think it would be helpful for you? Yes or no? Temp check. All right. If they have any objections to the call, it's like, oh, I don't want to waste my time on a sales call until I know the price, blah, 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 blah. Then you handle that objection. Then the price of the call is, yes, the call is free monetarily, but it costs them time. So the price is, yeah. So that's going to be a 45-minute Zoom call. Only thing I ask of you is that you're sitting down at a computer with stable Wi-Fi with a pen and paper. Fair? That's the investment that they have to make to get that call. Now, the price drop is where you actually tell them the price of the program if you're on a demo call. So again, here's the exact way I frame it. Cool. So there's a few different numbers we need to talk through. First one is ad spend. Are you familiar with the concept of ad spend? If they say, no, I don't know what ad spend is, you explain what ad spend is before you move on. Then you tell them, cool. Well, with that being said, ad spend is really whatever you want it to be. It could be as high or as low as you want. Based on your goal, I recommend X dollars per day. So our agency does $35 a day for our agents, for most agents. Cool. So I recommend $35 a day. Cool. Solid. Now, at the very least, can you swallow that number? All right. Solid. The next number is the investment to work with us. It's separate from the ad spend. You have two options. Now, what I do here is I tell them the commitment. It's going to be 6 months either way, or 4 months either way, 3 months either way, whatever it is. And then I choose whatever I want my pay in full price to be. I double it, and then I divide it over the number of months, and that's my retainer price. So for them to pay in full, they get basically a 40 to 50% discount. But it's the exact price I wanted for my service anyway. So here's how I frame it. You have two options. It's a 6-month investment either way. 6-month commitment either way. Option number one, if you want to do it on a month-to-month basis, it's $2K per month for 6 months. Comes out to a total of 12 grand. I tell them the total. Or if you just want to cover your first 6 months up front, we'll knock off 5 grand. 7K, one time, you don't pay again. Now, which of the two options do you think makes the most sense for you right now? Where's the third option to say no? It's nowhere, right? They have two options. What are they going to say? 9 times out of 10, you give them those two choices. Which one are they going to pick?
Pay in full.
Paid in full. And that is how you get lots of money up front. You make it a steal. You make it a bargain. All right. Then finally, you close the deal. Or if you're on an intro call, you book the appointment. Closing the deal, you want to be calm, cool, collected, confident the whole time. It's like, cool. Well, with that being said, next few steps here are super simple. I'm just going to go ahead and process the investment with you. And after we process the investment, I'm going to send over an onboarding survey so we can get started on building out your campaign today. You'll be live in 4 days from now. And then I'll go through the agreement with you line by line. Make sense? Cool. Well, what are the numbers on that card that you want to use? And you close the deal. Now, that is the 10-step framework. Whew, Levi, are you proud of me, man? I'm typically a rambler, but I just finished that up and exactly on the dot.
Exactly 1 hour. You killed it.
Right on the dot, man.